Visiting just for a few days from Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine very much on the front pages this morning. Joe Biden, the president of the US, has already put them permission to fire long-range missiles that go 190 miles into Russia. They fired some yesterday, I understand. He's now today agreed to give Ukraine some anti-personnel mines, which are a bit controversial because some people think, including Britain, by the way, that they're not supposed to be being used by anybody, but we'll talk about that later. This morning, we hear that the US Embassy and some other embassies are sort of closing operations down because of threats that they've heard about. What's going on today?
Well, there are those news, and they are super disturbing. We are all very concerned, and it's especially hard to be outside the country right now.
Yeah.
But the truth, Mike, is that these concerning news we hear every day, and the attacks on Kyiv and on other cities, they continue every day and night. Like 2 days ago, Russia hit the residential building in Odessa, was at least 12 killed, and the rescue workers continue their work. And 3 days ago, the city of Sumy. And these attacks, they are not stopping because Putin said or didn't say anything. They did not change because Joe Biden gave us or didn't give us permission to shoot the wide-range missiles.
Right.
The only practical, physical thing that can help us is getting us more weapons and air defense systems. And then we can reply to those attacks by taking down the missiles.
Right. And now that you've got the missiles, is that the next step, that you can try to persuade Joe Biden to come up with some air defense systems then?
Yes, and the question is the amount of the missiles of this wide range that right now in our possession. No matter how many we have, and I honestly don't know how many we have, but I know it's not enough.
No.
So every time you're attacked by a missile, you have two options: to take it down at launch or to take it down where it's close to the target. And beforehand, we were kind of obliged to take it down when it's close to the target. This is why many of the injuries were done by the debris.
Yes.
And right now we have an opportunity to take it down at launch,
right,
which basically many people who were not supposed to survive the next attacks, they will have this chance. And every decision that is being made right now by Joe Biden, hopefully by Keir Starmer and Olaf Scholz, we have less hopes, but still, it will allow people to survive. It will give us fighting chance. This is all we are asking for. Give us fighting chance, allow our people to survive another night.
And so the missile strikes so far that have come from Ukraine into Russia have been aimed at military sites, at missile launching sites, that kind of thing?
Mike, we have been in this full-scale invasion for 2.5 years.
Right.
We've been very open with our allies.
Well, it was 1,000 days yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, yesterday was 1,000 days, and I cannot believe that we survived by this point. But answering your question, we've been very open with our allies, and I think there are no questions that we will only be using these missiles for the military targets. And we have been obeying to the rules that Russia is not obeying to, and we were doing everything by the book because we know that for us as the democracy, the support depends on how open we are and how clean we are in the matter that we are only targeting the military targets.
And how do you think this has changed? Why do you think suddenly Joe Biden has given permission for these missiles to be used? What's happened?
Well, I think the recent statements by Donald Trump, the campaign statements and supporting of those statements to end the war in 24 hours has been pushing additional pressure on the Democratic Party. And for us, of course, it's very worrying when somebody says we will end the war in 24 hours, because the only good way of doing that is basically pressuring Putin of pulling back the troops.
Yeah.
And we have a consideration that that wouldn't happen. And the other way is on pressuring Ukraine to capitulate. And the question is, can you be still called a leader of the democratic world when you ask another democracy that is fighting for its freedom, for its future, to capitulate to Putin because of some of the political promises? And we understand that there's less than 2 months left for Joe Biden to have his final say in the political history.
In the world history, yeah.
Yeah, and well, we hope that this is not the last thing that he is doing for us, and that there would be additional decisions that will be critical.
And as far as the response so far from Vladimir Putin, I mean, obviously he's done what he always does, which is to wave a sword around and say that there will be a nuclear retaliation of some kind or other. Do you have to take that seriously, or do you not believe that he means it?
Well, he's been saying similar things since the day one, right? You give Ukraine Patriot missiles, we will start Third World War. You give Ukraine tanks, there would be repercussions. You give Ukraine fighter jets, you will regret that. So, of course, we need to listen and take it into consideration that, well, there was some feedback from Russia. But they are right now at the point where they are struggling at this war. They are taking additional troops from North Korea. They are very dependent on Iran, and they are not able to protect their own territory in the Kursk region. So I really doubt that they would be able to start additional operations. What they are absolutely capable of is terrorizing us, and this is exactly what they are doing, no matter what the world does to defend us.
And we're watching just some pictures there of them building what they're calling nuclear defense bomb shelters in Russia. I don't know why they're building those, and I don't know why we would be seeing those, but I guess that's all part of the mission statement that comes from Moscow.
Yeah, absolutely. The statement by Putin, it was not directed at Ukraine, right? Since the day one, I have a nuclear backpack in my downstairs. So yeah.
What's in that?
So it's canned food, bottled water, power banks, gloves and socks, because you will have to change that face mask, and well, that's it, some personal items.
Right.
And
so
that's
when
what
you go into a bomb shelter, you mean?
Yeah, right. And then you will have depending on where the strike might happen, you may have to walk for a long time, and you have to be able to breathe, have some food, etc. Some iodine there as well, but I don't think that would work. But still, so we have to be ready. This is the reality. The bigger question is, are we going to give him what he wants? And in Ukraine, the answer is no, absolutely no. And when I'm talking with the politicians in the United States, I don't feel this absolute persuasion. And that's why we need to be very clear that if there would be additional appeasement to the dictatorship, it would not only mean the disaster for Ukraine. It will show China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia, and other authoritarian regimes. Well, the West means...
and possibly India, maybe India and Brazil as well, because in the G20 yesterday, they tried to get a statement, or Keir Starmer tried to get a statement condemning Russia, couldn't get it, because India wouldn't do it, China wouldn't do it, Brazil wouldn't do it. Yeah,
well, so Putin is trying to persuade his allies and everyone from the global West that, well, West may be harsh, but you can outlast them. Look, there would be political changes, and then things would go better, and then you can do whatever you want. And it should be very strict message from the Western allies. And we are grateful to Keir Starmer and to everyone who is supporting us and keeps pushing, because we are only as good as the alliance that we are at.
So there's no solution for Ukraine without the full withdrawal of Putin, then? There's nothing short of that you would agree to?
Well, because we have been at this situation in 2014, when we were told, well, the ceasefire is not that bad, you will stop it and then you will figure it out. We will go into that, and then things may change. Look how it worked for us, right? So first, the ceasefire since 2014 never actually worked. People were dying at the front line, and then it allowed Russia to recoup, build more military factories, then train some more troops, and then launch a full-scale invasion. So right now, when we are talking about the solution, about the diplomacy, about talking, the main question remains the same. Who or what will make sure that Russia will keep their part of the bargain? And as of right now, I do not see anyone stepping up and saying, well, we are ready to go at war with Russia if they will break the deal again.
So is there a moment at which, before you go back to Kyiv, I don't know, next few days, if nothing happens from the Russian side, if nothing terrible happens, if they don't attack an embassy in Kyiv, if they don't change their tactics, what happens then?
Well, the war goes on. We continue working with our allies to get more air defense systems. Russia will continue the attacks. Look, this year there was a missile hit near the home where I live. We just finished rebuilding, and I have seen the results of this attack firsthand, and I know how devastating that is. But does it pressure us into capitulating? No. Does it change our fight for our country? No. Is it scary to live in Ukraine? Yes. But this is we didn't change our main strategy, and the strategy was to fight, not to flee, and this is what we are doing.
Okay. Well, Kira, wish you luck. Good to see you again. Kira Rudik there. She's from Ukrainian Parliament, of course.